Yes, hello everyone. This is Edith Hasasha, same lecturer at VB. Yes. Uh, Ivan contacted me, and I think you discussed as a class and agreed that instead of waiting for the university to open and you prepare for a test, I believe you already have enough on your table with the other course units. You preferred me to send you a course work, which was very okay with me because it's better than a test. Yes. So he told me you came up with groups. He sent me the groups. Yes, and I had to send this work some time back, but I've been caught up with very many things. But finally, I got some time to settle down, and that's how I've been able to do this video. Yes. So you need to first watch this video before doing your coursework. Yes. And I think that was the only thing we were left with. We were left with connecting your forms to a database. I remember that was the only lecture we were left with, and unfortunately we were closed abruptly. So it became a bit complicated. But with the tools around, let me send it to you. Let me capture it on my screen, send it to you, watch it in your own time. Practice it a little bit. Then, when you're ready, do your coursework, and I think we'll discuss the coursework at the end of this video. Okay, so yes, we were left with connecting to the database. I'm going to take you through the process of connecting to a database when you're using VB6, and some other small things here and there so that you can be able to do a full project. Yes, so when you look at my screen, these are the folder we are going to work with. So if I open that, I had already created a folder. I made a form. So let us look at the form. It is a basic registration form, a simple registration form. You can see we have a label here, a label, text box, add sub buttons, add new, save and exit, plus an image there. Since I'm dealing with Jambogo registration, I decided to put a logo to make it a little bit more attractive, okay, and more informative. So I think the thing, I don't know whether I mentioned this, but to make your forms a little bit more interactive or nicer to look at, you're supposed to put some colors here and there, blend colors here and there. Some people are bad at blending colors, but some students are really good. For example, you don't put a bright color that will affect your viewers' eyes. Okay, so just put some light colors. But I hope you know how to put colors to labels. For example, if I click that label, I can go to back color. Yes, there is system that will pop up automatically, but then there is also a palette. For example, I can choose that color. I think you can see it has given it a very nice color. I can also decide to choose these other labels. If you don't want to keep choosing label by label, please press Ctrl and then click on all the labels you want to select, name and sex. Yes. So still go back to back color palettes and choose that one color. It will apply the color to all the labels. Form, same thing. Click on form, go to palette, and you can give it a nice color, okay? Whatever color you feel like. The buttons are a bit, it's a bit different with buttons. What you're supposed to do is click on the button, yes, go to the back color. I can select maybe this for my button, okay? But then the color does not automatically show, as you see, so you have to look for, let me see, what was it? You have to look for style, yes, style, and make it graphical. Click graphical. Then the button will change color. So make sure you color your forms here and there, make it a little bit attractive to look at, okay? Same thing with buttons. I can press my control button, select all my buttons that I want to apply a particular format to, and if I go to back color palette, I think I choose that color, go to style, where is style, okay, and then I choose graphical, and yes, and if I run this, I think you can see my form is a little bit presentable. Okay, so let us go straight to the point, connecting to a database. If you look at the different database tools, I think last semester I taught this class introduction to databases, so we know what a database is. We went through that, we even wrote SQL statements, yes? And in this semester, if I'm not mistaken, you people are studying intermediate databases, so you're dealing with Access as a tool to save and retrieve data. So I believe you know how to use Access, because we're going to use Access for this particular project. Now, we know the background of databases. You know, it keeps logically related data and all that. So if you look at my form, I'm literally saving probably student data, yes? Okay, so if you're to create a database in VB, please go to Add-ins, click Visual Data Manager. This pop-up will show up, okay? Go to File, go to New, pick Microsoft Access. If you look at this, there are different kinds of databases. There is a DBase that comes with VB6, okay? There are all these other databases, but Access is a very simple tool to use, okay? And please choose 2.0 because of the version we're going to use, MDB. Now, if you look at MDB, it's those earlier versions of Access, okay? If you create a 2013, 2016, 2010 Access file, its extension is a little bit different. I've forgotten the extension, but it's a bit different. But the earlier versions use MDB, and VB easily connects with the older versions of what? Of Access. If you want to connect to the recent version of Access, you actually go through another procedure. But this is very easy, it's very sufficient, since we really don't need to work with a big database. So you can just choose 2.0. 2.0 is still 2003 format, okay? So 2.0 will do just fine for us. Now, if you click 2.0, it will prompt you to save it to a given location. For example, the folder I'm dealing with is VBWork. So if I go into VBWork, I can open a new folder. I'm going to keep my database, okay? I can say database. Click, and the moment you in that folder of database, just go to file name and give your database a name. For example, I can call it my DB. The moment I save, this pop-up will show up, the properties, okay? So when you click on properties, right click and click on new table. Go to properties, right click, new table. It will give you the provision to create a table. So table name, I can give it maybe registration. I can start adding fields. So this is, as you can see, it helps you add fields to Access. I think if you've dealt with Access, you know this is what appears, right? The name of the field, then the data type, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the first, if you look at this, I have name, okay? And I don't know whether I mentioned this. We have keywords. I think I mentioned this last semester. We have keywords. So if you put name may conflict with SQL, okay? Or with Access itself, because it's a keyword in Access, it's a keyword in SQL. So it's better I put name, that's not a keyword in Access or Excel, and if I say okay, it will give me provision for the next field, which is sex. Still click OK. Those are the only two fields I have. Close, okay? And you can keep looking through your fields to edit if anything is wrong. For example, you can add another field or remove a field, okay? But everything is good for me. When I'm done, everything looks good. You click on build the table. Okay, so when you click on build the table will automatically appear. If you look at this is registration. If you double click on it, if you right click, if you click on this, that cross sign, you can clearly see the fields that you have created and so on and so forth. Yes, but if you double click on the table, to give you a provision for deleting any editing, adding, closing, whatever you feel like doing with that table. For example, I can decide to add in a record, name, Edith, sex, female. Okay, and I can click on update and I can close that. Yes, so it's literally just enabling me to input data in my table that I've just created, even without the form. But that is not what we want. We want to connect our form to the database that we have created. So if everything is okay, just close this and go back to this form of ours. Okay, so if you look at this, we've created a very good table, but we haven't connected our form to it. Now, there is this icon. If you look, it's called data. Yes, it's a tool or an object that can help you connect your form to the database. Okay, but I'm not going to use it because it has limited formats, or it has limited it's limited in its use. Okay, so what I'm going to use is another object called Ado DC. Now, if you look at this, we have all these objects, but if you need to access more objects from VB6, you have to go to the object window, right click, click on components. Okay, this pop-up shows up. If you look at this, these are all formats, I mean objects you can keep adding to your forms. Okay, most of them don't come with the form because, I mean, most of them don't appear because there are very many and most of them are irrelevant, so they only put the things that are most commonly used, and the rest you just go select them and you use them. For example, for now, I'm going to look for Microsoft Ado Data Control 6.0 because I say this data is okay, it can help me connect, yes, but it has limited usability. Its usability is a bit limited, okay? And then the Ado will work very well for me for what I want to do right now. So the moment you're done clicking on that, please click on apply. If you look at this, it will automatically appear here and close. Okay, so if you're done with that, just click on it and place it like that. Just place it on your form. It will appear like that. Yes, we can also enlarge my form a little bit. Let me see. I can change this from Ado DC to browse. Okay, now this Ado, the tool that I've added to my form, is the tool or the object that is going to enable you connect your form to the database you've created. Okay, so if you right click on that object, there is Ado properties. Please click on Ado properties, click on build. When you're done clicking on build, these options will show up. If you look at these are providers that help you connect to the database. Still, you need JETs to connect to the database, you need providers to connect to the database, and so on and so forth. If you look at this, we have only DB provider for Oracle, so if you have an Oracle database, it can help you connect. So, you know, there is one for the SQL server, but we're going to use 4.0 only DB provider. This is the JET that is most sufficient when you're working with Access MDB extension. Even this can work, the 3.5, but why use a lesser version? Let's use 4.0. Then you just click on next, okay? And this window will help you to search for the database that you're going to connect to. I think it was on desktop, VBWork, databases here. This is my database that I'm going to connect to. Then click on open, and you can even test the connection, and you can clearly see connection is okay. So if you're done, everything looks good, you can just click on OK. Please go to record source 2. When you're done with general authentication, you can skip, just go straight to record source. I don't want to run this command, the add command, and no, I want to run the command of a table. So I'll select number 2, add command table. The moment you click on that, this will automatically become active. It will help you select the table that you have created. Okay, so I'll select my table registration, I will apply, and I'll click OK. Now, if you look at this, what I've just done, right-clicking on Adobe Properties, it can also be done in the property window. For example, the moment you click on Adobe and you go to the property window, we have connection string, yes, there. If you click on those ellipses, on that ellipse, I don't know whether that's the right word, yes, it gives you that form that we use to select the database, right? Also, if you go to record source in the properties, let me see, record source, it will also take you to that window, yes, so you can either deal with just right-clicking all the properties, everything is okay. I mean, everything will lead you to the same result. Okay, so if you look at this, let me try running this. I have my Adoc, still, I remember I put in a record, but I don't think I can easily, because I'm trying to browse, I'm not getting my record, the record that I fed in. Okay, that means that everything, you've connected the form, yes, but you haven't linked these text boxes to, you haven't selected a column. So what you're supposed to do is select a text box, go to the properties, make sure that its data source, it's picking its data from the connecting object, which is Adobe, right? And then on top of that, it's also connected to the field that you want it to post and retrieve data from, which is SNAME. Do the same for sex. Okay, we have data source Adobe C and data field sex. Okay, so let us try running this. So if you look at this, since I've connected my text boxes to the database, you can clearly see that it is picking data from the database. Okay, so with that, we have successfully connected my form, which is form 1, to database, which is MB. Now, we have these buttons. I think we talked about buttons. We added buttons. And I think you know that when you add a button, if you want to click on that button, you put that the code in that button. So I have add new and save and exit. Okay, now when I double click on add new, if you look at this, this is the code you feed in Adobe DC1, because we are dealing with Adobe DC1, not 2, not 3, so Adobe DC1 dot record set. The record set will automatically come. I think I have add new, which is dot add new. So if you look at these objects, they already come with embedded code. For example, when you're dealing with an Adobe control, it has all these codes that align with it. What some codes are not well aligned with the data connection that I showed you first, but with the Adobe code, most codes are aligned with it. Even it itself, it's a bit limited. For example, like the save may not work for it, but you can clearly see that everything is so easy, right? You just type that record set. Now the record set comes bundled with most of the codes of records. Okay, code aligned with record, and then the add new will just prompt it to add a new record. Okay, do the same for save. So for save, let us run Adobe DC1 dot record set. Okay, but for it we are going to run update, because it will automatically update whatever you fed in. Okay, and then for the exit, I think that one you know, you just type end and you're good to go. So if I run this, let's try running this. You can see we have Edith female. What if I want to add a new record? So if I click on add new, I can input friend, maybe male. Okay, and I can click on save and then add new. And, you know, the buttons keep working for you. When I'm done, I can just exit from my application. But if you look at that, that is not that interactive. Under the lecture functions, I remember we looked at message boxes. I think it was our first function that we looked at, yes? Code that is bundled in code that is put in a given bundle, and when it's called upon, it will just execute all the codes without showing you the back functionality of the code. So we have message box as one of our functions. I think, for example, if you're looking at save, after enabling it to update, you can just put a message, for example, message box. Let me see, the message we can put is successfully saved. Okay, let's look at that. Let's try running this. So for example, I have a new record, Gina is female. Okay, and I click on save. I think you can see successfully saved, and you click OK. You know, you can even run other codes. For example, after me clicking OK, maybe it should remove the gender and female, remove any wordings that are in the text boxes, and then focus on the name text box. You can do very many things with your form, whatever you feel comfortable doing, as long as it is interactive, okay, it is presentable, and it's engaging to the end user. Okay, so we've talked about connecting to the database. That is it, okay? That is what you do. Just put a text box, connect it to a data source, and then pick a data field. Put a connector, which is the ADO DC, or for those who can do their research, you can maybe also use the data. There are also other connectors, but the ADO DC is actually sufficient enough. Okay, but I think we did talk about navigating from one form to another. That is the other thing I want to show you guys here in my presentation. So if you look at this, I have this form, yes, but if you notice, most applications don't have just one form. You cannot put everything on one form. So you may do a system that when I click on this button, it takes me to this. When I click on this button, it brings me back to this form, yes? So if I want to add a new form, you can just go to Project, Add Form. And if you look at this, there are different types of forms, but I just want a blank form. Open. Now when I go back to my form 1, I can easily add a button, okay? Button here, and let me see, in my caption I can say maybe view records. Okay, and in this button I can append a code, and this is the code that will help you navigate from one form to another. For example, the form I want to navigate to is form 2, yes? So I'll just type form 2 dot show. Okay, so let's try running that. When I run that, everything looks good. I want to view the records that I've just, the moment I click on view records, you can clearly see that form 2 pops up, yes? But now you see form 1 is still there, then form 2 is popping up. Now to fix that, you just say form 2 dot show, but after that, close form 1, and the code for that is form 1 dot hide. Okay, let me try running that. See, view records. Okay, so if you look at that, form 1 has disappeared and form 2 has appeared. Okay, so that is code for navigating from one record to another. Okay, now for example, in this form, I can decide to, as I've said, view records, right? I want to input my records here, but then afterwards I want to view them. So if you go to form 2, there is a control for that. Still go to the object window, right click, components. I'm going to use the data grid control. The grid control helps you to look at the things that you have input from your text boxes, and it also picks it from the database. I think the component for that is, let me see, data grid, yes. Microsoft data grid control 6.0. Click apply, so you can see it has automatically appeared, and then close. We can pick it and put it on our form. Yes. So if we run, let me see, view records. Well, you can clearly see we have nothing in our data grid. Let's try fixing that. This is because form 2 is not connected to any database. Even the data grid, you've not specified that it's picking data from any database. We still go through the same procedure. You have to put the ADO DC, okay? This object enables any form to connect to a database, and you have to do the same exact thing. Right click, go to properties, build, select a provider, select the database that you want to connect to, MyDB, open, okay. Let me see, you can test the connection. I think everything is fine. Okay, still go to record source, select we are working with tables, and the table that I'm dealing with is registration, apply, and okay. Okay, so with that, I've connected this form to the database, that very database that I created. So same thing, go to the data grid, click on the data grid, and let's go to data source, yes? Data source, and you can see the Adobe DC automatically appears. Yes, select it, and let's try running this and see what will happen. Okay, so view records, and now I think you can see that our records have been successfully displayed in the data grid. Now if you look at this, I have no way of going back, right? You need that navigation here and there, so I think you know what we can do with that. I can just go to my form 2, let me see, and I put a button there, and I just say back, right? And we know what to do there. Just double click on that. It has to take me back to form 1 dot show, and at the same time it can also hide form 2, and it's showing me the form 1 dot hide, form 2 dot hide. Let's try that. Let me see. So view records and then back. So I think you can see how we are easily navigating. Now the browse. I think the browse works well here, okay? But when you look at this doesn't make sense. So you can easily remove this. If you feel an object is needed on the form but you don't want it to be viewed on the form, I guess you know what to do. You just select that object. Where is it? I think it was form 2. Select it, go to properties. I don't know whether we talked about it, but there is a property called a visible. Set it to false. If you run that, it will not show, but it will be there. It will be connecting the form to the database, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, we can also try to make form 2 a little bit more interactive. For example, there is no need of just putting the data grid. I can decide to put the delete button there, okay? I can just decide to put a button here. Let me see, where is the caption? And I can make this my deletes button. And if I go there, something happens. Adobe DC 1 dot record set dot delete. The delete works for this. Let me see, run this, go to view records. Let me see, I want to delete Gina. Okay, and I delete. Okay, it will automatically disappear. So I don't know whether you're getting the point of navigating from one form to another, because sometimes you don't want to put so much on one form and that other information can be kept on the other form, and so on and so forth. So yes, the form.show, form.hide helps with that. So I think I've successfully created 2 forms. I've connected them to the same database. They're posting data to the same database and also picking data from that very database. More specifically, that's that same registration table. Okay. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is we have a login page. I think most systems, if you notice, always has a login page, right? And also as a developer, it would be not that professional of you to do a system, an application, without enabling the admin or whoever is going to use the system to log in. So you can also create a login page. I remember in some lecture, we created a login page somewhere, somehow. I don't remember, but we did create a login page. But let me create my own here quickly. For a login page, you can still, yes, add form. You can still add a blank form and put everything as you feel like. Username and a label, maybe login page, then other labels, username, password, text boxes, login, cancel, all those things. You can decide your own, you can design your own login page, but I will just go for this login dialog. It already has everything everything set out. Okay, the moment I click open, you can clearly see the login page is already there. The label is already there, the buttons are already there, the text boxes. But if you have to be careful, because for example this text box already has a name, text username, not text one. Okay, this text box has text password, and then the buttons also have the command OK and so on, not button 1 and button 2. So when you're writing code, it has to, either you change the name of the buttons or you stick with that, but you always have to reflect it in your code. Okay, so it has automatically created for me a login page. Now the only thing I have to do is just go to the command, to the button, which is the OK button, and it will give me some code that I don't really have energy editing. Instead, I'll use my own code. I have some code here that I based on the other slide that is in our notes. That's what I based on. For example, dim username as string, dim password as integer. And you can clearly see that I have declared my variables. I have created 2 variables here, and I've declared that password should hold 1, 2, 3, 4, username should hold admin, right? And I'm saying if text username, this is the text box, text username, is whatever it's holding is what has been declared under the username variable, which is admin, and text password, whatever is in the text box password, is also holding whatever has been declared in password, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a message will appear saying login successful, and then it will show me form 1, okay, and then it will hide the login form. Else, if that is not true, then a message will pop up saying login failed. Okay, I want that code under my text, my OK button. So I'll just paste it there. That is fine. Okay. Let's just. Okay, I think I also, for the cancel button, I also prefer to use this code, that if I want to cancel, just make sure that you clear everything that is in username text box and password text box, and then set the focus to username text box. Okay, so let me do that, and then let me paste it there. So that means that the admin has, the username is admin and password is 1, 2, 3. As a developer, of course, it's up to you to set the passwords. You can have as many passwords and as many usernames as you feel fit. Okay. Now I think I've created my username, but if you notice, I mean my login page, but if you notice, even if I run, right, it will still bring form 1, because automatically form 1 runs first, so I cannot easily see my login page, but we'll see it later. Okay, now the last thing that I'm going to talk about in this video is the splash screen. It's called a splash screen. It's usually used in VB. A splash screen, let us call it a home page, okay? For if you're doing web design, I believe, not even just web design, I think you've dealt with many applications, many browsers. I mean, web pages, yes, web files. If you notice, you always, for a good web page or for a good application, sometimes it has that home screen, the first page you go to, then the next page, maybe it even explains what you're going to, well, if it's a restaurant page, it will first explain the cuisines they serve and so on and so forth. But in VB it's a bit static. I think I remember mentioning this, that VB is so static. So either you can design your own splash screen from a blank form, okay, or you can you can add form. You can create your own splash screen using a blank form. Put the company logo somewhere, this, that, the names, copyright, and so on and so forth. But then there is also a splash screen that has already been formatted here. So I think I'm going to use this. It will be easier for this. But if you have your own idea, please design it from scratch, okay? So if I click on open, this pops up. So you can see there is a provision for an image, there is a provision for all these words, copyright, warning, and so on. License to splash screen, as I said, can be your home or startup page, something that introduces you to the application that you're going to use. Yes. So company, you can keep editing this. For example, I'm dealing with Kyambogo University, and then you edit all these other words. You can even keep changing. You can even keep adding your own labels and so on and so forth. It's really up to you, and your colors. Oh, as I said, you can design something from scratch. Yes. So this is what I want to design for my homepage, or what I'm calling a splash screen. As I said, we have very many components that are hidden in the component button here. So the one I'm looking for is, let me see, Windows Control, Common Controls 5.0. Yes, it has a control that I want. So the moment I click on apply, the controls will automatically appear, close, and so on and so forth. So this is the control that I want, the progress bar. I just want to make sure that my viewer sees that my application is loading. So I can put my progress bar here. I think I can also change my image. Let me see. Go to the picture. Let me try looking for a picture here. Let me see. Images. Okay, let me just put this. Okay, I can change color and so on and so forth. But anyway, I wanted to just add a progress bar specifically to my splash screen. So if you look at this, a progress bar works with a timer. So you can clearly see that all these objects have uses, right? So if I click on timer and I put my timer here, I'll need that. So if I go back to the progress bar, make sure I have to make sure that my appearance is 0, not 1. I don't want the 3D. Okay, and I also make sure that my maximum, yes, maximum can be at 100, minimum can be at 0. Okay, so if I go back to my timer 2, I make sure that my interval is 250, because the other is at 100, so the interval may be interval from one point to another. This is in seconds, okay? So, no, not seconds, this is, actually, I think milliseconds, it's shorter than a second. So those are some of the settings I'm setting to my timer. I also have some code for the progress bar. Let me see, the code is here. Let me just copy and paste it there. I'm saying that the value that has been attached to the progress bar 1, okay, should always be incremented by 5. Now, if the progress bar 1 value is at maximum, then this timer should, the enabling factor should go to false. I don't know whether you get that. If the progress bar value is at maximum, okay, then please turn off the timer, which means the enabling factor, the factor that is the object that is enabling the timer to be on, should be turned to false, okay? And then you show the login form and false. I mean, and if, sorry. Copy, let me see, let me paste that here. No, I don't want that under progress bar, sorry. I want that under the timer. That code has to be fed under the timer. That if the value is this, then please turn off the timer. Okay. Then the code that I'll also put on my timer, as I said, this is my splash screen. You can decide to just color your splash screen, just put the relevant information, and that is it. the timer, I make sure that I turn the timer on. Let me see, copy that. Okay, under the timer, that's not what I want. What I want is the moment the form loads. This is the form, right? The moment the form loads, the timer should start counting. So I'll go to that form, double click, and I'll remove that, and I'll put my own code. The moment the form loads, okay, enable the timer offset timer.enable to true. Now, under the timer, it will also keep checking with the progress bar, okay, that the value of the progress bar keep incrementing to 5. Remember, we set it to 250, then this is at 100, okay? The moment this hits maximum, the timer will be a little bit in front of it, because for it we've set it at 250. The timer is a little bit faster than the progress bar. That is why we've said that the value should always be +1, so that it always catches up with the timer. The progress bar, the timer move hand in hand, okay? So if it hits maximum, which is 100, then disable the timer. Okay, so I think I have 4 screens, 4 forms. Let me look at this. I have the form. I have my form 1. I have my form 2. I have a login form. And I have a splash form that I have designed. Okay, I've not really designed it, but I think you get the picture. Now, still, even if you run, it will always run from form 1, but I want to change the order. Yes, I want to rearrange my screen. I want to make one form. I want to start from the splash screen. To do that, you go to project, okay, and down there is project 1, properties, and you can clearly see that we have a startup object option here. So instead of starting up from form 1, I want to start up from the splash form. And I'll click OK, and let me run and see what will happen. Okay, so you can see that I've started from my splash screen. It's loading. At the moment it's done loading, it will bring my login page. Yes, because I think I said where? Yes, after it loading, yes, show the login page, but then the splash screen stays. So let me hide it too. Form.splash, let me see, dot hide. Okay. Splash. Okay. So let us run that one more time. A splash screen appears because I have then after that my login screen. So I think you can see the navigation, how I'm navigating from one form to another. So I think our password was admin. Yes, I mean username was admin, password was 1234. Okay, login successful. The moment I click on OK, my form 1 appears. Yes, and then view records disappears back. So you can also add in the logout. The logout can take you back to the login page. It's really up to your imagination. You're the designers, you're the developers. Okay, so if you look at this, I think I've been able to create a simple system that is just registering name, sex, posting it to the database, a login page, a splash screen, and so many other forms. Okay. Now, I think I was working from a folder. Yes, that folder, if you notice, I haven't yet saved my project. So form 1 was saved. We can also save form 2 to that very folder, VB work. So form 2. We can also save the login page. Save. Then save all the pages, the forms. Okay, let us close this. Save, yes. That changes to my project. Yes, and everything is in my folder VB work. Yes, all my forms are there. If I click on my project, let Let me check on that. Let me see the splash screen appears. Username, I think username, remember when I said if you put a wrong username and password, I think I had code for login failed, try again, right? Okay. And I think I remember I said if you say cancel, if you click on cancel, it will clear everything and set there's a cursor back to username. See, those are the things that you should look out for when you're coding. For example, if I put in a wrong username and password, instead of it saying try again, the moment I click on try again, it has to also clear everything. Then it sets back the cursor to username. Okay, so everything looks fine here, but what I wanted to conclude with was how to make it an executable file. For example, if I gave this to one end user, let me see. You do realize if you give something like this to one end user, they have to literally keep looking at all these buttons, the edit, the view, the project, and then they'll also keep looking at the code, yes? And if they edit the code, then the system will automatically crash because they are not the developers. So you have to make sure that you don't give that view to the end users. Let us just give them one simple file that we can deal with, which I'm calling an executable file. So everything is in my my folder. I think I mentioned that. I put everything in that one folder, VB work. Okay, so if I open the project, okay, go to file, and we have that option here, make project one an executable file. So the moment I click on that, it will allow me to browse to the location where I want to keep my file. I can say maybe desktop. I can even give it a name, registration. Okay, dot executable, and I can just click on okay, and you can see it's compiling, writing, it's binding everything into one executable file. As I said, you don't want to give your project to one end user and all this is showing, the code is showing, the property window is showing, the object window is showing, all this is showing. They don't know what to do with it, and if they click on something, it may disorganize the whole, it may crash the whole system. Okay, for example, if they were to by mistake delete, okay, delete any of this, remove, automatically the system will cease to be connected. So what I've done, I've made it an executable file. Let's see how that works. Actually, let's first close this. Save changes, yes. Okay, so if you look at this, this is my executable file that I've just created, right? Registration.executable. So if I run this, I think you can clearly see what I'm talking about. I've made it a standalone system. Username is admin. Password is 1234. Click OK. Login successful. OK. View records. Back. Exit. Okay. I think that is what I had prepared. That is what we had. That is what we were left with the last time we broke off. I had to literally show you how you can make a full, a complete, simple application. Now that is VB. VB is Visual Basic, right? Putting things on forms, and I think it's the simplest application you can ever deal with. The software you can deal with. Though it's a little bit advanced if you're interested in a VB. I think you remember seeing those components. You can go ahead and research about those components and then add them and then bind them to the form. It can be advanced, but to make a simple application, data entry, retrieving data, VB is very simple. And also, why it's simple is because it's a bit static. It's not dynamic, right? Like HTML and web design and it's. So you can see everything about VB is very, very static. For example, like the grid bar, yeah, you can see that we cannot do very many things with that grid that I put on Form 2. Anyway, this is what I had, yes, for this video. I need you to, the coursework, yes. I need us, the class in your groups, to do this simple coursework based on that video, yes. The other lectures, I think, were introducing the variables and all those things, all those, you'll find ways of applying them in your coursework. So, coursework groups are sent by your coordinator, Ivan. Group 1, you do a student registration system. Okay? Please make it interactive. Make it, I know I've done something close to a student registration, but those were just 2 text boxes. Make sure your form has very many, not very many, but the relevant data that is supposed to be captured from a student. Make sure it connects from one form to another. Just research. Make sure you discuss as a group. I believe now we are discussing via phone, yes. And I don't know which other apps you're using. Yes, you have WhatsApp groups. Please discuss and make sure you draft a very good registration system. Group 2, hospital management. Group 3, restaurant management system. Group 4, bus record management and booking system. Group 5, inventory management system for a supermarket. And Group 6, pharmacy management system. It's up to you, really. Your imagination. It's really up to the imagination of the whole group. Make sure you have as many forms as you can. If I click on this button, it takes me here. If I click on that button, don't do anything too advanced, okay? Just do something simple that can capture data, post it, and retrieve it, okay? But if you do some bit of research, yes, you can make your forms a little bit more interactive. Okay, instructions. All systems must have a login page. We can all use username admin and password 1234 so that when you send me your work, I can easily log in when working, okay? Instead of me calling you or me sending you an email asking for your username and what? And password. Yes, your system must have at least 4 pages, including the login page minus the splash screen. I think I created 3 pages. I created the login, form 1, form 2, okay? So I'm saying your system must have at least 4 pages. So me, I created 3 pages. Your system must have at least, I want to see that navigation bit being incorporated in your systems, in your design, okay? And involvement. But if you give me 10 pages, that is okay? But at least 4 pages. Of course, don't make it as big and ambiguous, just make it relevant. Include an image or 2 on your pages, yes. Add color to elements like labels, just make it attractive. Use combo boxes where necessary. Include buttons on your data entry form. There should be, I should see individuality with each group. Yes, if you look at these forms are easy. For example, someone can come up with his student registration system, and then they send it to the rest, and then for them they just keep editing hospital name. No. I need to see, once something has been designed by one person, you can clearly see that it's different from this other person's work. So I need to see individuality in each and every group. Be imaginative, okay? Yes. So when you're done with your coursework, because Ivan told me people can coordinate, each group has, I think, 2 pieces. I hope each person in the group will take time to go through this code and learn how the other person has done it, because this is helpful. For example, your final year project, if you're doing a simple system, you really don't need to go and employ, because I know you people, most of you just buy people to do for you. Some people are very lazy. They just go, we know these things. But instead of wasting that money and coming out of university when you can't even code a simple system, you can't even come up with a full system, an executable system, you can just use VB, right? If it's a very simple system. And if it's using a simple database, you can use VB. So make sure, sorry about that, make sure that at least you get to know, you get to learn. If two people have done the work, make sure you discuss it, you understand it, okay? But otherwise, that is your coursework. I'm going to send it to Ivan. I'm going to send the video to Ivan and Devota. Yes, I think those are the class representatives. And when you're done, don't send me this. You're supposed to send me the folder, okay? Make sure you compress it and send me the folder when you're done. So on my mail, I think I'm going to put everything in that document, the mail you're supposed to send your coursework to. Since we don't know when we are opening, feel free to do your coursework up to whatever time, but the deadline for this coursework is the first week. If you receive this video, say maybe Saturday, you're free to send your work by Tuesday. It's okay, okay? You're free to send your work the other week. As long as we are still in lockdown, you're free to send your work any time. Make sure when you're sending, just compress this, send it, username admin, password admin, okay? The moment I receive it, I'm going to run it as an executable, and I will see how I'm navigating. Make sure the buttons are clear. For example, back, you can clearly see that it's back to form 1. Just don't put buttons that are not clear. Make sure the navigation is a bit clear. So the moment you send it, I'll run it as an executable, and I'll be able to go through the application here and there. So, what was I? Yes. Take your time sending the work during this lockdown. Work on it, make sure it's perfect. Give me a good work, okay? Because that is the only thing we're going to do for our coursework out of 40. So if you give me really good work, really good work, well designed, well developed, I'll give you a good mark. If you give me bad work that you just said just because COVID is here and it's tormenting, that I'll also give you your bad marks, okay? But then the deadline is the first week. The moment they open the university, I believe they'll give you 2 weeks to study and then start exams. So the deadline is the first week of reopening, because I want to combine your marks so that by the second week I have your marks, okay? So first week by Saturday, that is your deadline. Okay, otherwise, I think I've captured everything that I wanted to capture. Yes, I think I've captured that. Otherwise, I hope you're keeping safe, and we'll meet again on the university.